Tipp today in association with Slattery's of Pecan, your main Peugeot dealer for over 50 years in the Premier County. Slattery'sGarage.ie.
Good morning, welcome along to Tipp Today, 1800 938 007. That's our free phone number, won't cost you if you'd like to make a call to us. And Leanne is producing today. Coming up on the show, journalist Fionnan Sheahan will discuss being mocked online for wearing ashes on his forehead on Ash Wednesday during a TV appearance. Will Donald Trump declassify documents related to the existence of extraterrestrial life? Tom Hennessey will discuss the pressures facing local business owners. Our own Stephen Gleeson is out and about for us at Skullcormac in Cashel today. Joe Noble, my great friend Joe Noble, will discuss style through the decade. So all of that and much, much more on the way. You can text to WhatsApp 083 311 3311. You can email tiptoday@tippfm.com. Let's have a look at the front pages of some of your newspapers. To the Irish Independent, first of all, and there's a photograph of Michael Kelly on the front of the Indo, in fact right across the newspapers today. He appeared at Tralee District Court charged with the murder of Michael Gain last March, and he made no reply when charged. The court heard. The lead story on the Indo today, Mary Regan, telling us that hundreds of children could be denied a school place in a special classroom from September due to unprecedented demand. Now, there's concern, as you can imagine, among some government TDs that this will cause a political controversy that will far overshadow the issue around the special needs assistance. The Irish Daily Mail, and their lead story, women are being charged up to €225 to attend specialised menopause appointments before they get access to free hormone replacement therapy, it was claimed last night. To the Irish Examiner, again it's dominated by a photograph there of Michael Kelly arriving at Tralee Courthouse. The lead story on the Examiner today, the country's largest landlord has said its rental income could surge by 25% thanks to new government rules. Also on the Examiner, we're reading that there's absolutely no risk to Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky when he returns here for a leaders' summit during Ireland's EU presidency. Foreign Affairs Minister Helen McEntee has said. She also told us that Dublin was a safe city, though, so make what you will of that. The Irish Times, the lead story on the Times today, the PSNI, MI5 and London's Metropolitan Police unlawfully obtained the phone data of a prominent northern journalist in multiple operations over more than 10 years. The tribunal has heard. The journalist in question there, of course, is Vincent Carney. Also on the Times today, they're telling us that more than half of all gifts accepted by Gardaí in the last 5 years were all in contravention of anti-corruption rules, and the gifts of alcohol and tickets for pop concerts and sporting events. Senior officers proved the acceptance of the gifts despite them being against Garda policy. And the Farmers Journal is on your shelves today. And their lead story, anger is rife among exporters, mart managers and farmers over the continued ban on live export of breeding stock and store cattle to Northern Ireland. So that's a look at what's making headlines. Would you like to comment on any of that? And once again, you can text and WhatsApp 083 311 3311. Now, a Tipperary journalist who was mocked online for wearing ashes on his forehead on Ash Wednesday has hit back at critics describing the reaction as bigotry. Last week, Fionnan Sheahan, Ireland editor with the Irish Independent, appeared as a panellist on The Tonight Show on Virgin Media. Viewers were quick to notice that he was the only member of the panel wearing ashes on his forehead, a visible mark, as you know, of Ash Wednesday observance. Now, it sparked a wave of commentary online. I'm glad to say that Fionnan Sheahan is with us now. Good morning to you, Fionnan.
Good morning.
And thanks so much for making time for us today. You have said you're not a particularly religious person, but you had personal reasons for getting the ashes, Fionnan.
Yeah, my father passed away 16 years ago. He had been frail for a number of years and passed away peacefully one afternoon. He was a man of great faith. He always got the ashes, said his prayers, got his throat best and the Feast of St. Blaise and so on. And I think after he passed away, I was probably in the lapsed Catholic space, as I still would be now at that stage. But I just thought thereafter, when Ash Wednesday came about, well, I'll get the ashes in memory of him. And it's probably, it was a tradition that I've then turned into my own personal tradition. Then I'm not embarrassed to say I'm a Catholic. I attend Mass fairly irregularly. I'd obviously go to funerals and the like, and in terms of in and out to churches to light candles and anniversaries and so on. So, but that's fine, and I think many people will be in that space, that they're not attending Mass every Sunday as they did 20, 30, 40 years ago, nor going to confession periodically once every 3 months and so on. So I'd kind of be in the same space as many other people. So I get the ashes each year. Most of the time, I could easily have been at home last Wednesday, just gone down to my local church, got ashes, gone home again, and really not met anybody for the day. I just happened to be on the telly that night, and so it was obviously noticeable when I went home later that night. I just saw a bunch of messages, some of which you have to say were supportive, and were kind of saying, "Oh, fair play to your man for having ashes on," and others were just, "Oh, did he put that on with a marker? That's childish. What's the point of that?" The weirdest one was putting on ashes is right wing now, because you're trying to have a go at other religions. And then there was all that kind of nonsense. But then there was other people saying, "Oh, well, you should have expected to get mocked if you were putting on ashes." And that's actually the stuff that I object to most of all, because I don't believe somebody wearing ashes, and let's bear in mind, if you're of Catholic faith, you're only displaying once a year that you are a Catholic with the ashes on your forehead. If you are a Muslim wearing a taqiyya, a skull cap, if you're a Jew wearing likewise wearing a yarmulke, if you're a Muslim woman wearing a hijab, if you're a Hindu with a bindi on, if you're a Sikh with a turban, you are displaying on a daily basis as you go about your business wherever you live in multicultural Ireland now, that you are a practitioner of that faith. And I don't believe that any of those people should be slagged off. It shouldn't be a case that we're being constantly told over the last 10, 15, 20 years, "Oh, we're a very modern, liberal, progressive society." Doesn't feel like that if people cannot go about giving some form of expression of religious faith.
Yeah, and I know well that you would have thought deeply about this. I mean, is it a case that there's almost a shame about any demonstration of Catholicism where the practices of other faiths, as you described there, may be seen as cultural and valid and to be admired?
Yeah, and I've been contacted by a number of people over the course of the week since writing that piece at the weekend, because largely speaking, I wasn't trying to claim this is some sort of religious oppression or something like that. I'm saying it seems to be more a cultural phenomenon now in this country, that there is some shaming attached to professing yourself to be a Catholic, despite the fact that 3.5 million people filled out the last census. 70% of the population said and ticked Catholic. Didn't tick I'm an atheist, I'm other, they said, no, I'm still a Catholic. So, many of those would be lapsed Catholics, but nonetheless they ticked the box and said Catholic as their religious faith. And I think many people who are lapsed Catholics as well, would have drifted from the church. I myself, I would have major problems with the Catholic hierarchy, the manner in which they've handled child abuse, and the manner in which women were treated. And, you only have to look at the apology in the Dáil by the Taoiseach yesterday and look at the influence that the Catholic Church hierarchy had over politics and society. But nonetheless, I was contacted by some people who said, I do feel that way. I don't feel that, if I'm going, people saying to me, if I say I'm going to Mass, people look at me funny. and like they're like, oh, what are you, some sort of Bible basher? And they're kind of going, well, I don't go all that often. I go every now and again. And you find that people are having to justify the fact that they do, underneath it all, have an element of religious faith. They're not people who are going off joining up as they're not any sort of radicals or anything like that. They're just people who are kind of what you call a la carte Catholics. They will practice their Catholic faith and be religious when they choose to be. I mean, I'm like many of your listeners were coming up to. I see the communion and confirmation cards in a lot of the shops now. In a couple of years' time, I'll be what's called a bouncy castle Catholic, in that I'll be hiring the bouncy castle for the communion. And around that, I mean, I know of friends of mine who have suddenly discovered when their kids were hitting communion age, they were back in church, because you have to bring your child to church in advance of the communion. They suddenly found they were one of them put to me, hang on, you mean I have to go to church as well? I was like, yeah, that's part of it. You're the parents. So people find their circumstances changing over time. It doesn't mean that anybody is turning around and going, I'm perfectly happy with everything the Catholic Church does. It just means that underneath it, they do still have some religious faith, or that they see something attached to their own identity or their past or their tradition, where they don't really have a problem with saying, I will look underneath it all, I am still Catholic, and they'll avail of the sacraments, or they'll attend funerals and weddings and so on, and they'll be quite happy to do so.
It's interesting. So you had the keyboard warriors calling him, as you said, far right, and linking it to nationalism and all sorts of stuff like that. Any journalists pick up on this?
The far right thing was weird. I mean, this was interpretation of a couple that now there's people claiming, oh, there's a resurgence of people getting the ashes. I don't think there is, actually, but anyway, a resurgence of people getting the ashes to have a go at other religions as a pushback. But I was kind of looking at that going, that's utterly deluded, because actually I happened to be in the Pro Cathedral last Wednesday, because for Ash Wednesday, to get my ashes there, because it's only I'm just down Calvary Street. People will know Pro Cathedral's off O'Connell Street. I work down by Connolly Station, so it's only 500 yards away. So it's actually the nearest church. So I popped in there, and there was about 200 people there, and I was looking around during a rather lengthy sermon by the priest, and I would say a good 2/3 of the congregation were South American, Asian, of African origin. So if anything, getting the ashes, I don't see it as any sort of far-right expression. If anything, it's a form of multiculturalism, because so many of our immigrant community who have come here in recent decades from countries where we traditionally sent our missionary priests, and are coming here now to work as nurses and plumbers and teachers and so on. They're at a different stage in terms of they're probably practicing more than we are. So if anything, it's quite a multicultural thing to do to get your ashes, because people of other nationalities are also engaging in the same practice.
I'm looking at the screens in front of me, Fionnan, and everybody who's making comments commending you, but one made me laugh, because it says, I commend Fionnan on wearing the ashes, but the priest gave him a fair old dash of it.
Yeah, it was a good dollop, but I mean, I can't. I'll go up next year and I'll say, would you mind saying something more?
You're not in control of that. I'm just interested.
I'm not in control of it. I mean, a priest puts I was in comments about, that looks too dark to be ashes. You're kind of going, I don't know how. I mean, the ashes are correct me if I'm wrong. They're the burnt down pans and Palm Sunday, and then they're mixed,
exactly,
in order to create in effect the paste that is used on Ash Wednesday. I can't control the colour and the contrast of that. Maybe the priest needs to.
And speaking of which, when you went in to makeup ahead of the TV appearance, was anything said in the makeup department? No,
absolutely no objection from. Like I wouldn't expect there was. there would be either. They were perfectly fine. There was no bother at all. I mean, I can remember a time when the Charles Mitchell, who was the newsreader of the day, used to read the 6 o'clock news with ashes on. Right. The Bertie Ahern once delivered the budget when the budget used to be on in the early part of the year with ashes on. It was the norm rather than the exception that people took ashes. So I don't regard it as some sort of, people say, oh, you're great to do it. I don't think it's any great form of bravery around getting ashes. I regard it as a fairly normal thing. It's if anything, it's kind of a nice tradition. But I just object to this notion that anybody of any race or creed should be subjected to some form of opprobrium. And I did feel an enormous sympathy for people of other religious faiths living in this country now who go about and show that their expression of religion on a daily basis. And I imagine the kind of abuse that they get subjected to probably as a result of that.
Can I talk to you just for a moment about your dad? Because from the article, I gather he was a bit of a character. Sadly, he passed away while listening to the news at 1 on RG. Did he?
No, he actually lost his. He was in nursing home in Thurles in his latter couple of years because his health had failed. Yeah. We were 2000. I can remember it well because it was the 2007 general election was on. He had a heart attack. He was up in the ICU in Nina at the time, and they got him back together and back on the road. Then he died on that occasion, and he passed away in 2010. And I told the nurse went into his room to check on him, and it was about 1:10 or so. And she gave us the exact time, and she said the radio was on. He would always have had the radio on in the background. And I recall saying to people at the funeral that he what was on the news that day was that Brian Menahan was going to be delivering the oration at the grave side of for Michael Collins below Bale and the Blah that year, and I suggested that maybe that's what caused his heart to stop. That he'd seen enough.
He was a Collins man, was he? He
would have been a Collins man, yeah, very definitely, yeah. So like that was just what I specifically recall. Just the nurse saying she said to the time she remembered just checking his pulse. He was gone, and she said, I switched off. She gave him a blessing and switched off the radio, and things proceeded from there. And it was just a memory of the time. But I can remember, he used to get his, he used to go to confession. In latter years, he wasn't a regular mass goer because he couldn't physically go. But I had priests calling around and so on. It was part of his I suppose people of his generation would have been of greater faith than we are nowadays.
And I love the notion, though, that you would have donned the ashes to pay tribute to him. I just think that's a lovely thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, look, that's not the definitive reason you're supposed to don the ashes as a form of penitence and giving witness at the start of Lent. As I say, I'm picking my own reason for doing that. But I don't have a problem either with when I'm asked, well, are you a Catholic? I go, yeah, I am. My son attends a Catholic school, not because it's a Catholic school, and that's fine, but because we did our homework and it's the best school in our location. My daughter will be going to school in a couple of years. Maybe she goes to Educate Together, maybe she goes to a Gael school or another school, or maybe she goes to Catholic school as well. So be it. And I think there probably are a lot of people nowadays. It is called a la carte Catholicism, where people are picking and choosing what parts of their faith that they choose to express. And I'd kind of be in that space as well. And I think that that a lot of other people are out would be in the exact same zone.
Well, most interesting. We're getting a huge reaction to our conversation this morning as well. Fionnan, thank you for making time for us. Always a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning to you. And that's journalist Fionnan Sheahan there, who is Ireland editor with the Irish Independent, of course. Liam in Kilkenny says, fair dues to Fionnan and the fact it wants to remember his dad. What a wonderful thought there as well. Let me see, lots more coming into us on this. I'll tell you what, I'll have a glance through it and I'll bring it to you in just a few moments.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
And you're very welcome back to Tip Today. Phil was on to say, I think it's awful that that man, that would be Fionnan Sheahan, has had to come on radio to defend himself and explain why he had ash on his forehead. What is wrong with people, it says here. Somebody else on to say, I'd like to thank Fionnan for highlighting the issue around ashes as part of our faith. It's so important to me that we as Catholics, if this were other religions, nothing at all would be said, and a lot more coming into us in that vein. Now, the United States President Donald Trump has said that he is instructing federal bodies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to aliens, unidentified aerial phenomenon, and unidentified flying objects. Now, the move comes following comments about alien life from the former President Barack Obama on American YouTuber Brian Tyler Cohen's podcast earlier on this month. Now, Jason Osborne from Gript has been writing about this, and he joins me now. Good morning to you, Jason.
Good morning, Fran. I hope you can hear me okay.
We can hear you fine, and thank you so much for coming on with us. I'm not sure if you heard my introduction there, but I was speaking about the fact that Barack Obama, I suppose, sparked this off on the American YouTuber Brian Tyler Cohen's podcast earlier on this month. He did go on to clarify his comments in some way, though, did he not, afterwards?
He did indeed. So, yeah, he was on. Brian Tyler Cohen has a very big audience in America. And they were in the sort of speed round in which he was firing questions at Barack Obama towards the end of the episode. And one of the questions was whether aliens are real or not. And Mr. Obama responded, they're real, but I haven't seen them. They're not being kept in Area 51. He added that there's no underground facility unless there's an enormous conspiracy and they hid it from the President of the United States, which obviously raised eyebrows on the internet, this being a topic with some considerable conspiracy over the decades. Yeah. But as you say, he clarified his comments on Instagram later, writing that statistically, what he meant was that statistically the universe is so vast that the odds are good there's life out there. But he added that the chances Earth had been visited by aliens are low, and he saw no evidence during his presidency that extraterrestrials would make contact with humans. So that was very much... There was a lot of speculation following that, as you say, earlier this month, which prompted President Trump to make this announcement because he was questioned about it himself then by a Fox News correspondent on Air Force One.
And, I mean, Mr. Trump then saying that he gave out classified information. So you'd wonder about that comment and what that's based on as well, Jason, if you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, you certainly would. And I think a lot of people's frustration with this subject matter is that it's so shrouded in mystery and people are never sure whether they're getting the full story or whether what they're being told is true. Because as you say, after Mr. Obama's comments, as I said, Fox News correspondent Peter Ducey asked Donald Trump whether about Mr. Obama's comments, and he requested clarification as to whether President Trump has seen any evidence of, as he said, non-human visitors to Earth. And as you say, President Trump responded, well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. Mr. Ducey took that to mean aliens are real, but President Trump responded, well, I don't know if they're real or not, but I can tell you he gave classified information. And he sort of mysteriously added, he's not supposed to be doing that. He made a big mistake. I may get him out of trouble by declassifying. And then sure enough, later that day, that's when the announcement came from President Donald Trump, as per usual, on his social media platform, Truth Social. He said, based on the tremendous interest shown, he'll be directing Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and the other relevant departments and agencies begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to, quote, alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, and unidentified flying objects, and any and all other information connected to these matters. So it's naturally an announcement that stoked some considerable interest and response online anyway.
I can well imagine. And I'm racking what's left of my brain cells here, Jason, but did Donald Trump not say before he took office the first time round that he was going to open up these files about extraterrestrials? Did he not say that at some point?
I think there have been a lot of steps along the road to this point with sort of various, promises made by different official figures over the years. I can't actually recall whether President Trump made this promise before, but certainly there's been a lot of development in this area in the past decade, I would say. So you may recall that, obviously UFOs, UAPs have been the subject of fascination for some decades now, but there was definitely a sort of stigma and sense of conspiracy attached to it. But a lot of that was blown open back in 2017 when the New York Times ran a story containing sort of first-hand accounts and footage of unexplained vehicles, unexplained flying objects, I suppose, unidentified aerial phenomena that had been in the vicinity of Navy ships. And so this was federal military footage that was released by the New York Times. And sure enough, a couple of years later, in 2020, the Pentagon released that same footage itself, so sort of formalizing the matter. Now, in the wake of all of that, to tie back to your question, U.S. Congress did pass legislation requiring Pentagon disclosure. There have been a load of congressional hearings in the U.S. that have heard from supposed government whistleblowers, people who do have sort of the credentials required to speak authoritatively in this area. And they've made some bombshell claims that, really did sort of rack the media space anyway when they were made. For example, one whistleblower, David Grush, before a congressional hearing, said he made a claim on the record that there being crash retrieval programs, not being UAP crash retrieval programs in the US that have recovered previously non-human craft and biologics. So obviously he didn't say they recovered, alien bodies or anything like that. He used a very sort of strange term, non-human craft and biologics, which is very, very much open to interpretation. But it's just to say that there has been a lot of official movement on this front in recent years, but despite that, there remains an enormous amount of mystery and confusion.
And it's interesting that Barack Obama mentioned Area 51, that classified US Air Force facility. I think it's in the Nevada desert, but that's been long the subject of secrecy and speculation. But Obama seemed to dismiss that in some fashion. And again, it seems like he had intel on this.
Well, certainly that would be the suspicion for people who've been following the topic for a long time. It's obviously the whole difficulty with this area is that even aside from the fact that people have no way of verifying the truth or falsity of the sort of official statements made on these matters, no one has any sort of idea the extent of, what could be disclosed or what could come out. I mean, another very interesting development that people might like to hear about in this regard and followed on from President Trump's announcement, and it's another twist in the tail, I suppose, was that, as you say, it was last Friday that President Trump made this announcement that he was going to disclose files and going to sort of provide more information on these matters. And then this Monday, on Monday night, as The Atlantic reported, someone, we don't know who, was anonymous, placed a peculiar bet on the prediction market, Cashel. So Cashel is one of these markets that puts up sort of statements about possible events. For example, as in this example, a statement about whether the Trump administration will confirm that alien life or technology exists in our universe. There was a statement on the prediction market that will take place by the end of December this year. So people can, put money on it, and if it does turn out to be that way, they'll get a big payout. And very strangely, on Monday night this year, someone placed a nearly $100,000 bet on that claim, which is obviously no small amount of money. And according to the Atlantic's review of Cashel's trading data, about half an hour later after that bet was executed, this was followed by another bet that was almost twice as large. And obviously this is anonymous, so they don't know whether it's the same person. But these are enormously significant bets anyway, I suppose. So obviously people think, it might just be someone with too much money to burn putting that down, or as other people have speculated, it might be a trader with insider knowledge. And as far as these prediction markets go, like Cashel, there is precedent of that. It was only reported recently examples of, for example, people who had insider sort of military knowledge regarding some of the developments in the Middle East, who I think it was, if I recall correctly, sort of an Israeli intelligence personnel who had put down bets because they were in possession of knowledge about things that were going to take place. And so obviously they were in a prime position to get a payout once these things did transpire. So there is precedent for people with insider knowledge to sort of to cash out on that in these prediction markets. So it's just another twist in the tail, as I say.
It's fascinating. And you've been looking at it, Jason. Can I finally ask you, I mean, have you made up your mind on this? Do you think that there is this sort of phenomenon amongst us?
If I'm being honest, I'm agnostic on the question. Yeah. I mean, I understand where people come from, like President Obama said in his sort of, whether you believe him or not, in his clarification post, he was obviously saying that statistically speaking, the universe is so large that there must be something out there. And I can appreciate that perspective. But on the flip side, it's such an extraordinary claim. I think it would, as they say, require extraordinary evidence. And thus far, despite all of the speculation and the movement and the promises and even what disclosures we have heard, nothing yet has been brought before the eyes of the world. And then you just never know with these things. I mean, there are, as I said, there's a lot of interest in the topic. A lot of people follow it forensically almost, and a lot of them are, as you would understand, skeptical about sort of misinformation programs, or to use the internet term, psyops from government and things like that. And there is certainly precedent for that in America involving the CIA and whatnot. So it all sounds very Hollywood and conspiratorial. But to answer your question, I'm personally agnostic on it, and I don't see how someone could have made up their mind yet. The last thing I will say just is that there's clearly something mysterious at play, because it's an unusual topic to keep coming up, and yet it does. There's clearly something going on.
Well, I think the whole thing is fascinating, and over the past few years here, we do a Conspiracy Files every so often, and we find our listeners absolutely fascinated by it as well. Jason, thank you so much for coming on with us. Thank you, and good morning to you. That's Jason Osborne there, and Jason is a reporter with Gript. How do you feel about that? 1800 938 007.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. Call Tipp today on 1800 938 007.
Now, still getting reaction into the piece with Fionnan Sheahan. Betty was on to say it's a person, and this is just in case you just joined us, it was a conversation around Fionnan wearing ashes on Ash Wednesday on a Virgin Media programme. Betty was on to say it's a person acknowledging that they have come from the earth and will return to the earth. Where do the critics think their body will go when they die, says Betty to us today. Rose was on to say, on Ash Wednesday, I was on my way to Cork by train. I sat near 3 people. I had ashes on my forehead, and the gentleman said, I'm glad you're keeping up the tradition of the blessed ashes, and hoped he would be able to get it in a church in Cork, says Rose to us today on 083 311 3311. Frank says, unfortunately, there are some very ignorant people in our society who will criticise somebody who puts ashes on their forehead for whatever reason, and the fact that they can hide behind a computer screen just goes to show the type of ignorant cowards that they really are. Now, regular contributor to the show, Tom Hennessey, recently took to social media to share his frustrations around the increase in the business rates, and he joins me online now. Tom, good morning to you.
Morning, Fran.
And good to talk to you today. You have a real issue with that decision by the local authority to increase the commercial rates, Tom.
Yeah, anyone in Tipperary now that has a business, especially a small family-run business, it's really frustrating. And look, I put it up there on my Facebook page,
In December, that vote took place, and there was a few councillors that were very vocal, Shamie Morris being one of them. And it was kind of, reading between the lines, they were nearly forced to do this, and we have to get this budget together, and this has to be done. And a second 5% increase. So our rates on small on business have gone up now 10%. But Fran, look, I work in Clonmel on the main street there. You're in Clonmel. Walk down Clonmel there and have a look. I did a video, put it up on my TikTok there, Tipperary Fionnan. There's something badly wrong, Fran. And I can't understand. Like, I put up, I emailed the council about 6 times to get the list, the records of that vote, because I didn't know. I knew 1 or 2 that had voted against it. But I just felt that, what were these councillors? First of all, have any of them ever worked for themselves? Do they know what it's like to run a small retail business in Ireland today? But they obviously don't, and I just find it hard to take, Fran. And I ran in the local elections, as you know, and my big thing was rates. One of my big things, I said, I think it's an absolute disgrace that rates are still going in Ireland, and it's not a level playing field. We know that there's money being given out if people come into the country and they want to start some of those vape shops or phone shops. We know there's big grants on offer, and for Irish businesses at the moment, it's a disgrace. But I put up the list of names, and I don't like falling out with people, but I'd be straight, Fran, and a few of the councillors probably were annoyed with me, but look, if you're willing to go in there and you're voted by the ordinary people to go in and fight for their rights, is what I think the councillors should be doing. I'd be strong in what I said there. Like I said, that if we seem to have a political genre now of, I call them journeymen, men and women who get elected for a bit of picking up litter and planting flowers, and that's all admirable work, Fran. But my issue is that there's way bigger problems at the moment in the county of Tipperary. Like, we've record homeless figures. We have the Sean Meehan case ongoing. We've cabins after being put up there on the hillside outside Clonmel, less than 5 k's the crow flies from Sean Meehan's cabin, and Sean has been dragged in and out of court for the last 5 years, while no planning, no consultation. I went up and did a video there at the people that protested the time those cabins were being put up. But we're now second-class citizens in our own country. And I put up the list of names of the councillors that voted to put up the rates. And all I can say, Fran, is I think it's shameful that they wouldn't, if they were going to do a rate increase, why not do something for the small businesses? Now, I've gone on about parking with you, Fran, on a number of occasions, and we've towns like Dungarvan below which have free parking, I think, for an hour. Why are they not trying to do something for the businesses? It's take, and if you keep going back to the same well, it's going to run dry.
Well, can I put to you what they would probably say to you? And they would say, because there's not adequate funding from central coffers, Tom, that the local authority has to find funding somewhere if we're to have the other services, whether it's our libraries and blah, 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 and all of the usual stuff. They need to have this. I'm told any of the councillors that decided to vote for the increase, they're not happy about voting for that increase, but they feel they don't have a choice if we're to continue to have the services. What do you say to that argument?
No, I don't. That doesn't sit with me at all. I mean, we have a government now that are firing millions over to the likes of Ukraine and Palestine. We've the shameful situations of children. We've had some very sad cases waiting for operations. We've our own homeless people not being looked after. There's something rotten in Ireland at the moment. I'm reading a book at the moment by Dr. Owen Lenihan. It's called Vandalising Ireland.
Yeah, I read it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Fran, that should be given out. And I call them the 60-plus bracket that are watching the RT News still, and they're not on social media. If you've got a parent or a grandparent, give them that before the next elections and read it. That man, he's the son of the famous storyteller, Eddie Lenihan. But what's in that is shocking. And we have our country at the moment, We saw what happened to that poor girl below in Cork the other day, another random assault. Like, are the Irish people, are we going to continue to look on and let these people do what's been doing to our country? Now, on a local level, I suppose you have to look after each area, has to try their best. But, I mean, for the small businesses, another 1,800 there. I was talking to a shopkeeper, a good friend of mine, a cigarette vape licence. The government have a special thing done there now with Teemu as regards clothes with on post. So they're doing a special delivery service, but none for the ordinary Irish small clothes retailer. So, like, Fran, well, my thing is, I can't understand why a lot of the businesses are so quiet about this. Now, as I say, it took me a good while to get that list. I eventually got it, and I put it up. And
and that's a very interesting point you're making there now about the businesses being quiet about this, because and at the time of the vote for the extra 5%, there was a certain amount of disquiet about it. But you're right, there wasn't full scale protest about this, or businesses getting to the streets, or.
Yeah, and you know something, Fran? The only thing I can say is most lads now that are getting up in the morning to go in and do a day's work, if it's a shop, a coffee shop, a retail shop, there's so much pressure on them now that they're working all the hours God can send just to keep their doors open, and that's the reality of it. And I mean, we've a serious problem with theft as well, and it's not the guards' fault, but there's no repercussions for people that are caught shoplifting. You've got all these multiple convictions they get, and they're still walking around. But, I don't know. Look, as I say, I'm really annoyed with our councillors. I don't know, can anything be... That vote has gone through now.
Well, it's worth pointing out as well, Tom, that Tipperary already has one of the lowest annual rates of valuation, the rates. So, even after the increase, it remains comparatively competitive by comparison to other counties.
Yeah, but you're comparing it to other bigger towns and big cities. But I mean, Clonmel, what a town, Fran. And I'm going to mention a little bit about what I think should be done as regards to tourism.
Yeah.
But what a great town. You remember going into Clonmel there. Great people, great atmosphere. I remember my granddad Jack bringing me in there you go in there for a tie, and the whole place was booming.
We used to come into Woolworths when I was a kid. Yeah.
I used to love going in there. But Fran, just the tourism there. Personally, I think we have a huge untapped potential in Clonmel. Now, history's my thing, Fran, as you know. So, we have a fantastic opportunity here. We still have the wall that Cromwell breached. We still have a good section of that standing, and we still have a few of the towers. Now, what I did yesterday on my lunch break, Fran, I walked up there into the Garden Place car park, and I went down there into the corner. And have you ever been down there, Fran? There's the remains of two big sections of the wall there. Say, we're at the other side now of St. Mary's graveyard.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's actually the big gates up now, because obviously there was people going. The original steps are still there, Fran, and just to stop people going in, I suppose, messing up there. But what an opportunity, Fran! I was just looking there. We need to talk to the people in Kilkenny. We need to talk to the people down in Wexford that did the 1798 centre. If you Google Clonmel, Fran, Cromwell is the first thing comes up. It's famous for being the only small town to resist Cromwell. You had amazing history. St. Mary's Church, what a lovely graveyard there to walk through. Huge history there. So the wall there now, Fran, I think in the 80s they had it open that you go up and walk along it. But I believe it was for insurance reasons that it was closed off. But I was lucky to have known Bernard, may he rest in peace, the previous caretaker there, and he showed me around. So, friend, did you know that there's an actual knight from the Crusades buried in a crypt? Yeah,
I did. It's incredible, and not enough people know that. Yeah, absolutely.
No, and they looked for planning, Fran, I believe in the 80s, to open it up, because they know exactly it's in the porch there. They know exactly where it is. but I don't think they got permission. But not only that, you have the tower there. Now, I don't know, maybe I'm one of the few, but Bernard Fairjuice, I told him I was doing my history channel, Tipperary Fionnan, and I'm on YouTube, and I said, Bernard, I'd love to go up and record just the view from up there. But Fran, it's a gorgeous old tower, and I know it will take money. The stairs is original, and all these things take money to do, but by God, what a tourist attraction. You could go up there and you have a gorgeous view over the town of Clonmel. But the whole tourism thing here in South Tipperary, like we've Cahir Castle, which is great, we've the buses going in there, but why not link up, like we've Cashel, we've Cahir, why not link up Clonmel into this? Now,
but they've been talking about that for generations, Tom, and nothing really seems to come of it.
Yeah, but I know, Fran, but, we're now at a situation where Clonmel now is in dire straits, in my opinion, that there's going to have to be something done to increase footfall. And there's actually that garden place car park, there's room there for buses to go in and turn. If you open up that, you could actually go up the steps there, and if you, a little bit of work there, provide a proper route along the top of the wall, straight away you have a tourist attraction, Fran. And with very little money spent as regards doing that. Now, in my opinion, you probably would need to have a kind of a centre where people could read about Cromwell. Have you ever been in the one in the 1798 one, Fran, below in Wexford?
I haven't. I've heard about it, but I haven't been there, Tom, no.
Well, you walk into a room and the next thing you've cannons going off and you've it's an amazing experience, brilliant. So we probably do need to do something like that. But I mean, it's time now we spend money on our own problems and our own trying to incentify. We also have huge history in Clonmel there. Like I've written about Bridget Gleeson, who was in coming them on there in the narrow street. Now the main guard, like there is a small little tourist thing there, but I mean, huge potential there. We had the oldest member of a flying column. There's no mention of him there anywhere. Sean Cooney, great man, supplied weapons to the IRA back in the day. We've no flying column museum in South Tipperary, Fran. Like we're the home of the revolutionary period. Ourselves in Cork. Now we claim it with the Salahead, but look, I've good friends in Cork, but two great counties, but we've no actual place. Now I know Bob Dwyer in Cashel, he's a brilliant museum, well worth going to.
In Dominic Street, it's fantastic.
So he's Bob Dwyer's son-in-law, but like, that's a great place, but now I show people around. I get calls when they see the videos, and I do a little tour. I start in Claheen. I go to where the Gary Moore ambush was, just outside Claheen there, Highlands Cross, and then I bring them to a field that Sean Tracy drilled the lads in. We go up to our Sean Hogan monument. We go to Jeffrey Keane.
Can I ask you, Tom, and I'm sorry for cutting across here, but I'm just about out of time, but can I ask you, because I had a conversation with Fionnan Sheahan earlier on there about the huge amount of online stuff he got for wearing ashes on Ash Wednesday on television. And we were talking about, that maybe is it that some people are shamed by the notion of, is it similar where nationalism is concerned and where republicanism is concerned? Do we not want to visit that in some way because we're a little bit ashamed of it?
100%, Fran. And we've the shameful thing now with the tricolour. We had comments made by a prominent Fianna Fáil MEP about if you see a flag flying outside a building and saying Ireland is full. Yeah. Now I went and I flew my tricolour out off my building there in Clonmel. I'm waiting for a proper flagpole. I actually walked around Clonmel yesterday. There's 6 flagpoles outside the library, and I think there's 4 outside the council offices, no flags flying. Now, they'll say to you, the protocol. Listen, if they want to go, the protocol was invented by the Free State. Put one of those rechargeable lights on top of the flag, and you can leave it flying the whole time. Take it down then when it gets a bit raggy. But you're completely right, Fran. But as I say, there's a big problem here at the moment with our culture, our heritage, our traditions are under attack, and it's time now for the Irish people. And Tipperary was always a great county. We need now. I urge everyone to fly your tricolour, not just for St Patrick's Day or when there's a soccer match. Put up your tricolour and be proud of who we are. Because remember, Fran, our grandparents, the struggle that they went through to rid the butcher's apron from flying over Tipperary. And I mean, we see there, we had shameful scenes where we had foreign monarchs being invited into our towns here in Tipperary. I'm totally against all that because it's complete revisionism. And as we know, 6 of our counties, they're still claiming jurisdiction over it. And now I'd say with all the Royal debacle lately, they won't probably be too proud to be sending invitations to those people. But look, we knew what they were about for years. We know our history, Fran, and we're proud of our history and our Republican heroes like Tom Breen. And
Tom, I beg your pardon, but I must leave it there, Tom, because I'm heading for news.
I said it to Leanne. We have a GoFund page set up for a great woman, the first female councillor in Tipperary, and her name was Marion Tobin. She was Marion Carew from Knockgraffin originally, and we have a GoFund set up for Marion. We're going to put a plaque up to Marion this year, and we're not looking for huge money to do it. We have a figure of 3,000 there, so I'd urge everyone, it's on the GoFund there, Marion Tobin. It's on my Facebook page, Tom Hennessey, and I have a bit on Tipperary Fionnan on my TikTok.
Very good. Where will the plaque be, Tom?
The plaque will be near where she's buried in Ballyluby.
Oh, very good.
And we'll be looking forward to. But it's shocking indictment again, Fran, that we're a community are doing it ourselves, and that's a lot of the things we're doing here in South Tipperary. There seems to be grants for commemorating lads that fought for foreign armies, but if you go looking for money for our Republican heroes, you have more paperwork to fill up, and it's a disaster.
I must leave it.
We'll keep doing it, Fran.
All right, I must leave it there, Tom. But thanks for your time this morning. Thank you. News and information is coming up.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Over half a century driving the people of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24 111.
Thanks, Pat. Welcome back to the second hour of Tip Today. Now, what an exciting morning it's shaping up to be at Sculcormac in Cashel. Our own Stephen Gleeson is on the scene to give us the full story. Stephen, good morning to you.
Good morning, Fran and listeners. You're very welcome to Cashel here. Great atmosphere around Sculcormac here this morning, where we have a big day of celebration, and I'm joined now by the principal here, Lorraine Lowry. Tell us what's happening here this morning, Lorraine.
Good morning, Fran. Good morning, all the listeners. Very special day in Sculcormac this morning. I sat down at my kitchen table last night to write a few words, a speech. We have some of our donors that donated money to our fundraising campaign, Bop for a Bus. And I actually, it was the first time that I really realised the magnitude of what has been achieved in Sculcormac. It's just phenomenal. Since it's been a year nearly in the running, the fundraising campaign, which started off with some exceptional members of staff coming to us and asking, we'd like to do a fundraiser for the school. What do we need? Everybody brainstormed, and I suppose it was the buses. We had 4 buses that were causing a lot of trouble at the time, and the idea was to upgrade those 4 buses. But never in our wildest dreams did we anticipate the response, the sheer commitment and determination from the staff and from actually the county of Tipperary, because it really is a community achievement, because there has been so many people involved. I don't want to spoil the big reveal, because I know the fundraising committee are going to speak about what they actually achieved and the number that was achieved. But what I can talk about is just, I suppose, what it means to our students and what it means to the children, past, present and future of Sculcormac, in relation to accessing a curriculum in a really meaningful way, providing opportunities for them to be able to access the community, to feel connected, to feel that they belong. And I suppose that's what we're about here in Sculcormac. Our children, they come first. They are at the essence of everything that we do. And this is a very, very, very unbelievably happy day for the children and the staff and our school community, and as I said, the wider community of Tipperary.
And we have a great room here filled with people and with balloons outside, and the buses. The buses are key to all this. And you have a catchment area right across Tipperary, and people coming from long distances every day to be here in Skolcormac.
We do. We have some very proud Limerick students. So we're going to East Limerick, we're North Tipp, South Tipp, as far as Carrigunshore, children from Waterford. We have children from Cork, from Mitchelstown, and they're travelling on bus air and buses to the school. But our buses, our fleet of buses that we now have, support those students in being able to access the community of Tipperary, you know, going on equine therapy in Limerick. We go swimming. You know, some of our children really, I suppose, struggle in relation to sitting and learning in the conventional way, and because of sensory issues and because of needing a very different type of learning environment, the buses enable us to be able to access that for our children, for our students. So, you know, on a weekly basis, we have buses travelling to Tiptown, to Thurles, to Clonmel, to provide swimming, to bring the students swimming. That's funded by the school, by fundraising. You know, the department don't pay for anything in relation to the running costs, the fuel, the tax, the insurance of the buses. So that's all fun.
Local people.
Yes, absolutely, and like I suppose, we all know how important that is for our students, and I think it's really summed up on the 17th of February. The wheelchair accessible book took its maiden voyage to the Horse and Jockey. So 3 of our students that are wheelchair users that have never ever been out have been able to access the community like the other students in the school were able to go to the Horse and Jockey. And definitely what goes on tour stays on tour, because there was some shenanigans went on that day, and the pictures that the teacher, Miss Ryan's class, that she sent to our WhatsApp group, explained pictures of the students enjoying themselves out having a social occasion. And when those pictures went into our WhatsApp group, and they said what a happy and wonderful social occasion they had, and there's learning in that as well, that Mr. Bales wrote into the group, and they said that Joe Enright, who's one of our students, this is his second year with us, one of his ambitions was always to be able to go on a bus like all the other children and to have a social outing with his peers. So it was incredible that happened on the 17th of February, and the joy in those photographs and the fun that they had on that day. And that's what it's all about, giving children opportunity, experiences. Like the buses mean opening doors for children and offering them life experiences and increasing happiness. And, you know, we are a very happy school, so this just sums it up and quantifies it.
Great stuff, Lorraine. We'll hear from Joe's mother, Pedrina, in a little while, but we're going to go to the fundraising committee, and I have a serious bunch around the table here, Fran. Top class committee fundraisers, including Johnny Luby, who's here just over from me here at the moment, and we'll hear from Johnny in a little bit. But we'll come first here to Evelyn Nevin and Siobhan Ryan. And Evelyn, I come to you here first. Like, if you talk about this and the support that you've got here and the workability of this, that everybody can work together.
Yeah, hi Fran, and hi to the listeners. Fabulous to be here this morning, and I suppose I'm here in Skolcormac as part of the workability project, and I was delighted when Siobhan asked me to come on the fundraising committee. I love fundraising, I have to say, and I suppose when we set out with our 80,000, I thought they're all mad in this school, but anyway, we'll let Siobhan tell you what happened after that. But I suppose for me in workability, I suppose it was an opportunity for the students on my project to get involved, and so we were uptown selling tickets, we were banging buckets, some of our students on the day went up to the rugby club, and it was about everybody, I suppose, participating and helping others. The response, I suppose, was phenomenal from the start. Now, it was a lot of work, and there was times you were going, oh my God, but over in the staff room, myself and Siobhan used to meet to bank the money, and as I said, you know, you just couldn't believe the amount of money like that kept coming in on the day up in the rugby club. 50 euros was just flying everywhere. For me, I suppose it was just phenomenal, and it just goes to show, I suppose, the esteem that children with additional needs are held in here in Tipperary, and also, I suppose, for the school, because, I mean, Skull Cormac is phenomenal. It's a fabulous place to work. The fundraiser wasn't just about us on the fundraising committee. Like, I mean, there's a staff here, there's families, sponsorship cards went home. Everybody, that's anybody. The Dogs of the Road got involved. Everybody, businesses. As I said, I've never done a fundraiser like it. Today is like, it's like winning the lotto, I suppose, for myself and for the other people in school here. And to see the video that Lorraine was talking about, the lads on the bus, it made it all worthwhile. And you say, that's exactly what it is about. And it was about everybody getting involved. Like I said, it wasn't just the 10 or 12 of us on the committee or whatever. Yes, you know what I mean? People love getting stuck in, doing the work and whatever, but it's the outcome. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about the kids and students. Everybody should have the opportunity, like, of going out on the bus with your class and whatever. And now, I mean, that has been made possible because of the fundraising and the efforts of the people of Tipperary and Limerick. We better let them in there, or it mightn't go down too well. But yes, it has. I mean, it has been phenomenal. And as I said, I was delighted that the Workability Project, that we could get involved in it and help out in any way that we could.
Great stuff, Evelyn, and we'll come to Johnny in a moment, but first we're going to have that big reveal. Siobhan O'Brien is here with us. Siobhan, tell us how much you raised for all this and for the buses that we can see outside the door here.
Stephen, it's actually unbelievable to be able to reveal this amount. I never in my wildest dreams thought we'd achieve a fraction of this. I can reveal this morning that not only did we crush our 80,000 target, we've added another 100,000 to that, so we have 180,000 raised.
I hope that didn't blow the head off listeners there.
Yeah, it's just been phenomenal from the get-go. We started in a very casual conversation one day after school that snowballed into something that we could never have dreamed would be as successful, and that is absolutely down to the support that we have received. We never heard the word no from anybody. The support, the love, the affection that we're held with around the county and surrounding counties, it's just heartwarming. It's amazing, and this is one of the proudest things I've ever been involved in. It's just, I will never be able to quantify it. It's just been amazing. And to see the children out and about, and that it's just what it's about and what it was all for. And to think that we've achieved that. We've been able to upgrade our 4 buses and buy a brand new wheelchair accessible bus. So it's just been fantastic. So thanks to everyone. Everybody's support has been appreciated, from the £5 to the 500 to the 5,000. It all added together, it all made a difference, and we just want to thank everyone from the bottoms of our hearts. It's just been phenomenal.
Oh, fantastic stuff. Well done, Siobhan, and that is just amazing stuff. And we'll hand over here to no stranger to Tipp FM listeners, Johnny Luby from out the road at the Golden, just past the shore there.
The Road.
Yeah. Johnny, it's something else, isn't it?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I suppose when Miss Lowry and Siobhan and them happened to say to me, would I give it a mention on the radio? So it was down to, thanks to Frank Curry and Tipp FM and that. Anytime I come on the radio every Friday, I just keep mentioning Skull Cormac and that. And because like a fiver is a fiver. And if you have 995 euro, that fiver now brings you to the 1,000, and it's absolutely fantastic. You know, they're in a great area here in Cashel. You know, the people have been wonderful, and all the surrounding areas and just beyond the borders of Tipperary as well. Nobody, as the girl said there, would refuse anything. You know, even youngsters will say, coming up with €2 for my 70th birthday. We said, I thought to raise 600 or 700. Lo and behold, it went to 11,000. You know, Tony Coney, actually, it's funny, Tony Coney said, I'll give you €20. I said, I'd need more than that, Tony, off of you now, you know. And that. But she said, you're only walking from going to Cashel. I said, I'm only walking halfway because you would get knocked down in the other half. So I said, you're better up. But anyway, he's running what we call a bullseye, which is €50. So I said, thanks. But everybody out, I looked to appreciate Stephen, of all the things that I've been kind of involved in. Not like the girls, because they're here at the cold face and they see what's going on and that. And I see them then when I'm in the town of Cashel, and you drive up the town, you see the SNAs, and they walking with catching the youngsters by the hands, and all the shopkeepers. Tommy Grogan nearly knows them all by first name, you know, and that's the way it is in the town of Cashel, a wonderful place, you know, and that, so there's so many charities out there. So Skull Cormac is absolutely blessed that they could get the sponsorship for 180,000. I never thought that it would reach even half of it. I said, this thing is daft, and lo and behold, I just kept climbing and climbing. But hey, thanks to everybody out, it's appreciated, and to Tipp FM for, one of the girls said, will Frank Curry allow you to say that? I said, I'll have said before, he said. But listen, it's appreciated. Tipp FM are wonderful for all charities. Absolutely brilliant, no matter what charity it is, Stevie.
And Johnny, just outside, you saw the buses, you were up close. They're fantastic, aren't they? You know, real state of the art, like, and balloons on them there and shining here this morning.
Unbelievable, and even it has put the SNAs and all the youngsters here in tremendous form. They're all saying, look at our buses. I mean, they're our buses now, that's Skull Cormac's. And that, like, the way they're lined up there, it's fantastic for them, friend. You know, they need it in this day and age with health and safety and all of that inside in the school, and that you do need a proper setup, you know, and fair play to them.
Yeah, so we thought 80,000, it went to 180,000, the fundraisers. Just before I let you go, Johnny, tonight you have a big fundraiser, Cheltenham night.
That's right, preview night up in the Norbrook Lounge in Clonakilty, and that I asked, again, Michael Lowry, as he's the nearest TD to us from North Tipperary, I said, how do I go to Clonakilty? Johnny, he says, you know how to go to Clonakilty, up by Templemore, go left beyond on the road to Roscrea. But it's for the Liam Brereton Fund, that young boy that got badly injured there from Drummond Inch. And look, whatever they collect tonight, it's only €100. €500, whatever. There's an auction afterwards as well, and that I was there for the last number of years. It's absolutely a brilliant night. You know, we have Shark Hanlon, we have Tom Hogan, we have Dennis Hogan, the trainer, who's actually a first cousin of Liam Brereton's, and many, many more people. Ken Whelan here in town, and that somebody they won't guarantee us a winner, but they'll give their opinion of what might win, isn't that it? Great. That's on at 7:30.
7:30 tonight, Norbrook Lounge, but this morning it's here in Cashel where all the action is, here at Skull Cormac. And thanks for that, Johnny. And next up we have Padrina Inright, the mother of Joe Inright. And I know Joe wears his Limerick jersey here, proudly here in the heart of Tipperary, but he's thrilled to have a bus to get in here with.
He can't believe it. He just can't believe it. They did their trip, as Lorraine said there a while ago, and that was his one thing since he came here, was that he could never go with his class anywhere. You know, they could go up and down the street here, but he'd see the buses going in and out, and now to think that he can be a part of that, he is just so proud. But it isn't even just about Joe, it's about the full school community here, that they have these out in the yard now, that they can decide to go somewhere and go, and not be worried about a breakdown, an old bus or anything, and like the support for everyone that's made this possible. I feel I'm not in part of my body here today. I feel my head is looking down. This just can't be real. And it's thanks to everybody, the fundraising committee, the staff, the mouse out in the yard. Everybody has backed this from start to finish, and I don't think it stopped. And it's a privilege to even be associated with it at all.
And it's all local people. It's nothing to do with the government such. It's the people who raise the money, the likes of Johnny and the likes of Siobhan and Evelyn, who've been going out there into the community. So all the listeners, you know, they're part of it.
Absolutely, every single body. And people were even coming forward that we hardly knew, or that knew of somebody else here through the years, or heard it on the radio. And it's just been astounding. They didn't just put their hand into their pocket, they went deep into their pockets. And this is the proof of it today. Aren't we so lucky?
So tell us what a day will be like now in the morning that Joe will be able to get the bus.
Joe will be able to, if his class decide to go on an outing, they can all go together now. like his class were really not doing things like that. Like he would see other classes going off, and every child is actually very aware, because this school is such a family, and everybody knows what's happening, and everyone's a part of everything. They could never do that. And it's not just Joe, like there's a full class there, and there's other classes as well in the school. Like every student now, and every teacher, every staff member has the option, and it's always the option to go, now it's yes or no. That they're not being excluded, and inclusion is really what it's all about.
Oh, brilliant stuff. And you're travelling, quite a distance to get to this school in Cashel, but it's the heart of your world as well here. The people are so kind, and it's a wonderful environment.
The kindness, the commitment, that journey is so worth it, and we don't feel like it's like a journey, because Joe is so excited coming here every day, and even when he goes home, he's talking about the next day. So it proves like the journey doesn't even come into it, because he's so much part of what goes on here, and everybody is the same. From the minute you walk in the gate, walk past on the footpath, you can feel the love, the commitment, the energy. It's astounding. And if we could bottle that up, you'd double the 180,000.
Brilliant stuff. Well said there. And it is, thanks for that, Padrina. And well, I hope you're enjoying this piece here from Skull Cormac in Cashel. We're going to have a song next, and then we'll wrap up with just a final word from Lorraine here. But I'm delighted to be joined here by two fantastic musicians, Paddy Cohen and Seamus Hayes. And Paddy, I've seen you many times with the Rebel Hearts and everything down the years. You're here in the school, and great atmosphere, great environment here as well.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Stephen. And this school is an amazing place. It's a very happy environment here all the time. But this morning, I feel a sense of pride around the school. Everybody's on a high. Everybody's smiling. The achievement is unbelievable. 180,000. To be honest with you, I didn't think they'd raise 8,000. It's just, I know, it's just unbelievable. But everybody just got behind this, and are people very kind from all across the county and beyond. And I think when children, especially children with additional needs, when they're involved, people feel that they have to help out a little bit more. And there's so many charities out there at the moment, but our school, our wonderful school here in Skull Cormac, definitely deserves all the credit. So, yeah, delighted.
Great stuff. Have you gigs on the horizon at the moment?
We have, yeah, well, as you know, we buried our brother Liam, and Liam would want us to go on, so we're going to Liverpool and Luton now for St. Patrick's weekend, and when we come back after that, then we're going to go hard at it, and we'll drive on in Liam's memory.
Yeah, and Liam was an integral part of the band for
Oh God, he was very unique. Yeah, I'll just tell you a quick story. We used to go down to Kerry, and Liam was sick at the time, so Liam wouldn't be able to make the gig. So the Kerry boys would come in and go, "How are you? Is Liam here?" No, he's not here actually. Now today he's sick. Actually, we'll keep going. So, so they came to see Liam, and that was wonderful. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, brilliant stuff, Paddy. And you're going to play a tune for us here yourself, and Seamus here beside you. Seamus Hayes on guitar, and Seamus, what are you going to sing for us today?
Actually, it's a tune, Paddy, isn't it? Paddy, you know the name of the tune now. Sorry, yeah. I'm just fair weather acoustic backer man, really, to be honest.
Yeah, we were going to play a slow one. We're going to play the West Awake, but it's such a joyous occasion. Forget about the slow songs now today. And but the West is awake here this morning. But we're going to play a tune called Club Cayley, and please God, there'll be a Cayley later on.
Lovely hurling, and we're getting ready for this one, and it is Paddy Cohen and Seamus Hayes. Take it away, lads, here in Skull Cormac. Fantastic, absolutely brilliant stuff. Paddy Cohen and Seamus Hayes, that was just brilliant. And just to wrap up here, Fran, before we hand back to the studio, we just have a final word here from Lorraine Lowry, the principal here in Skull Cormac. And Lorraine is going out here at 11 o'clock to officially open. The ceremony is going to take place here for the brand new buses that we have outside the door that 180k was raised for. Over to you, Lorraine.
Just on that, I suppose we are sitting in my office looking out, and it is a beautiful site. We've nestled between the Rock of Cashel, and in our schoolyard we have our 5 buses. And I just want to mention Raymond O'Dowd, who scoured Dundee, who rang every bus operator, and only for him, that's why we have our magnificent fleet of buses out there. So he's not with us today, so just want to mention Raymond. But so we have some invited guests in today. We're going to go to the hall. The weather isn't on our side, but we're very good at improvising, adapting and modifying here in Skull Cormac. So we're going to go to the hall and continue the celebrations. But I suppose just to finish that, this moment, this success that we're celebrating is and belongs to the entire community, for everybody, who volunteered, who put their hands in, they donated. It's just a huge community success, and it belongs to everybody that worked so hard. I can't but just mention Evelyn Evan and Siobhan O'Brien, I suppose, because they really were the driving force behind this, and I can't thank them enough, and the fundraising committee. It really has made a long and lasting impact on the present and future students of Skull Cormac.
Great stuff. Many thanks, Lorraine Lowry, and also to Evelyn Nevin, Siobhan O'Brien, Johnny Luby, Pedrina Inright, Paddy Cohen and Seamus Hayes. And from me, Stephen Gleeson, that wraps it up here at the moment, but the celebrations are just getting going here in Cashel. So with that, it's back to you, Fran and Leanne in the studio.
Thanks very much indeed, Stephen. What a lovely piece indeed from Skull Cormac today. And many congratulations to everybody involved there in that wonderful fundraiser. And thanks to Paddy and to Shemi as well. A lovely piece of music in the middle of all of that too. Fran, I always say Skull Cormac is heaven on earth. I could write a book on how wonderful the place is, and the staff always so pleasant. We parents always appreciate what they've contributed to our Ciara's life and our family amongst so many other families. We'll always be extremely grateful, and that's in from Jeremiah, who's a great friend to the show over the years. And a couple of people on to say it's great to hear Stephen on the radio this morning. Well, that's for certain. Thank you for that. We'll take a break, back in just a moment.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, puck on. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Now, welcome back to Tipp Today. The Irish Travel Agents Association is advising anyone planning to travel to the state of Jalisco or surrounding areas on Mexico's Pacific west coast in the coming days to remain in close contact with their travel agent and to follow the guidance of the Department of Foreign Affairs. Now, to talk to me about this, I'm glad to be joined by Tom Raddle, who is President of the Irish Travel Agents Association and MD of Baxter's TravelNet in Cork. Good morning to you, Tom.
Good morning, Fran. Thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome. Would you give us the background to this, Tom?
Yeah, I suppose as people are probably aware, there was one of the drug cartels, one of the large drug cartels taken out by the Mexican police and state forces over the weekend, and it's in a particularly western part of Mexico, Guadalajara region. And obviously there was a lot of trouble out there and a lot of following on violence, etc. So the Department of Foreign Affairs put on do not travel to that particular region, and of course we've been in contact with the Department of Foreign Affairs and likewise with our membership fee, any Irish people who are holidays in that area. But from what feedback we've got back, there hasn't been. And the reason being is that the Irish tend to go to the eastern side, to the Caribbean side of Mexico, particularly Cancun.
Yeah.
And that is mainly driven by Aer Lingus flying in direct a couple of times a week up to the end of April.
And what about those who have booked and might be a bit frightened about what's going on then, Tom? What can they do? What options are open to them?
Well, anyone that is flying into the eastern side of the Cancun area, and just to give it its context, Fran, Cancun is approximately about 2,000 kilometres away from the Guadalajara, Jalisco region. So it's about a 3-hour flight equivalent of flying from Dublin to Malaga.
We forget how big a country it is, don't we?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like really flying from Ireland to Spain. So it is a significant away. The Irish tend to congregate in Cancun. We've been in touch with the locals down in Cancun and the ground handlers that we deal with, and everything is operating as normal, and there's no areas of concern for the Irish travelling public. Obviously, if someone wanted to travel to the Guadalajara region or was planning to travel to the Guadalajara region, we would advise them to follow the DFA advice, which is currently do not travel. So if they've booked a trip, they need to, no doubt the travel agent would be on top of it already, but if they've booked it direct, maybe just to reach out to the airline and just see what their options are, maybe look at rescheduling, etc.
I suppose from your point of view and the people involved in your association, it's a pity because it seems to me that more, particularly young Irish people, are wanting to travel to Mexico in recent times.
Yes, but the western part where this virus erupted, that is very much frequented by the US holidaymaker, and that's mainly driven by the network of flights going down there.
Yes,
the Irish don't go down in that direction. I suppose if anyone happens to be in that area, a backpacker, etc. Our advice is to heed local advice out there. Keep your phone fully charged up. Be in contact with the DFA's website as well, and just take all necessary precaution and keep in contact with family and friends, etc.
Right, but you're saying largely Irish people going to the Cancun area there, which is well known to most of us.
Yeah, they do. And as I say, it's perfectly safe, and it's in the region of 3-hour flight away from the affected area.
Yeah, can I ask you before I let you go, where is proving popular this year? Because it strikes me that holidays are a bit fashion-like in that some places are popular for a few years and then it sort of changes. Where do people want to go this year?
I suppose we're seeing a growing trend in cruising, Fran. The Irish consumer is seeing it as an exceptional value holiday now, in that everything's kind of all included, their meals, their entertainment, activities, etc. So they can budget accordingly, and there's so many different ranges of cruises and a cruise to suit everyone. So that's becoming very, very popular. Active holidays has become very popular. Cycling, walking, the Camino, that side of things has become more popular because people are tending to stay away from maybe the peak hot times of July and going to shoulder seasons, or going maybe to northern Spain as opposed to southern Spain. And I suppose when you look at the long haul, what is going very well is Thailand and Vietnam. Because again, the exceptional value and fantastic destination that it is also.
All right. Well, we can only dream of sun and sea when we're putting up with the weather that we've had over the last month or so. Tom, thanks for your time this morning. Thank you, and good morning to you. That's Tom Raddle there, as president of the Irish Travel Agents Association, with that warning. if you intend travelling to Mexico, and a wave of violence, of course, has broken out there in the state of Jalisco after the country's most wanted drug baron was killed in an operation seeking his arrest there. 1800 938 007.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. Call Tipp today on 1800 938 007. Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puck-On, now is the time to pick up your next van. From the award-winning Peugeot Partner van to the expert and the load-lugging Boxer van. We have big vans, high-roof vans, long-wheelbase vans. You'll find them all at Slattery's Garage Puck-On. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Join the conversation in Tipperary. Contact us through Facebook, Twitter, or email tipptoday@tippfm.com.
Deirdre says, I'm so relieved, Fran, that we cancelled our family holiday to Mexico this year because we were told it was seaweed season and the beaches get covered in smelly seaweed. So we decided to go to Thailand. And after listening to your guest, I'm very pleased that we made that decision. Even though he was saying that Cancun and the whole western coast of Mexico is fine, and it's 3,000 miles or so away from where that violence is happening. But I got what I asked Leanne, would you have a look at that notion of smelly seaweed season? And it's a very real thing, and it does include Cancun and Tulum, and it generally runs from March to October. Peak heavy influxes typically occur between May and August. But yeah, you're right. This year it's happening earlier. So interesting. Smelly seaweed season. It's interesting. Earlier on this morning, we spoke about US President Donald Trump saying that he is instructing federal bodies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to aliens and to UFOs. Dave joins me now. Good morning to you, Dave.
Nanu.
Nanu. It's only people of a certain age now will know what you mean when you say nanu. This is bread and butter to you. You love this stuff, don't you?
Oh, this kind of stuff's my bread and butter. It's why all my primary school friends thought I was weird. And, I mean, to a certain extent, you're right.
Yeah. What are you making of for what's been said? I mean, do you see what Barack Obama said as a bit of a kind of a slip of the tongue and a giveaway that there is some substance to this?
You know, if we could just entertain it, we'll say there's a modicum of truth to it. Because, I mean, look, if you think of the wider universe and the scale of the universe, the thought that we're the only life out there is it's pretentiousness in its highest order, you know? So, like, I don't doubt that there's life out there in the universe. Is it intelligent life? Is it life like us? You know, remains to be seen. But the thing is, like Trump hates Obama. You know, I kind of blame Obama for Trump actually becoming president, because you know that dinner that they do every year when they get up and they roast the president and all that.
Yeah.
Obama turned around and he was roasting Trump back for the whole birther thing, you know, and he was like, "But hey, Donald, I'll be something you'll never be, president." I genuinely think that was the impetus for Trump running for president.
Do you think so? Did that drive him on? It did, yeah.
It really does. As much as, you know, like for all the man's failings, of which there are many, one thing you don't tell Donald Trump is you can't do something. You know, but like it would be a good way, in a roundabout kind of way, to say, "Oh, they're real. Oh, they're not real," and then have Donald Trump saying, "Well, I'll let you know."
Yeah. But the fact that Barack Obama said in response to the host on the podcast, he said, "They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept at Area 51. It's as if he had some intel on it anyway, is it not?
It is. I mean, look, like if you think about it, like UFOs were a great smokescreen for Area 51 because that's where they developed the SR-72 stealth plane and the B-2 bomber. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So people like triangular lights in the sky. Oh, UFOs. Yeah, definitely not new technology we're developing. Like, look, show me the evidence for it. I mean, I would point to UFOs because UFOs are a real phenomenon, you know? And not just in the, holy crap, there's something in the sky. Like, there's genuine, real, empirical evidence to show UFOs are a real thing. We don't know what they are. We don't know where they came from. We don't know if they're a natural phenomenon. But, like, there's, like, two things that stick in my mind. There was a thing called the Belgian wave in the late 80s, early 90s. We had over 20,000 sightings. It got so serious to the point where the Belgian government themselves were like, okay, we need to look at this. What is this? You also had over the Great Lakes in Michigan back in 1994, 300 odd people, including police officers, all saw lights and stuff in the sky, triangular shaped, whatever. You had a guy at a weather station, meteorologist. The guy's a scientist. He had new radar equipment. He said he was watching these things over the Great Lakes for hours and hours, and the pings he was getting back were the same pings that an aircraft would give, meaning that they were metallic in their composition.
Yes.
He said the way they would move, they would go from 80,000 feet up in the air down to almost ground level in a matter of seconds. If you or I were in, we'll just say, a craft, and it was to do that, it would literally turn us into jelly.
Right. Is it the G-force? Is that what they call that? Is it?
That's exactly it. Yeah. It's like the whole Star Trek thing, the inertial dampers. Because if you go at that fast, you will literally just turn into a puddle of goo.
That's very interesting. So that could not have been a craft that a human being was commanding. Then is that what you're saying, Dave? It couldn't have been.
Well, that's because I'm an evidence kind of a person. Show me the evidence, and the evidence, there's empirical evidence and data there to show UFOs are a thing. We just don't know what they are yet. They could be a natural phenomenon. They could be extraterrestrial in origin. We don't really know. And I mean, if we could put our tinfoil hats on for a minute and entertain the whole thing, that maybe aliens are real and we've been in contact with them. Maybe on a societal level, we're not ready for that kind of information yet.
What, do you think it would strike fear into the hearts of populations then, and there could be all sorts of ramifications for that? Is that what you mean, Dave?
Well, that's it. Well, I mean, if you look at our own history, right? Once upon a time, if you turned around to an English gentleman doctor and said, maybe you should wash your hands between, surgeries there because you might have these things called germs that are killing people, they'd look at you like you with two heads. Like, how dare you speak to me like that? And then there's all things like that. Like the implications are for religions alone, because all the major religions are we are made in the image of God. So you're like, okay, there's other life out there. It's intelligent life. What does that do for religion?
Wow.
And even but even if you bring up the subject of aliens and UFOs and stuff, I'm sure if anybody I know is this right now, they're probably thinking, what is this ape on about? But even bring up the thought, even this kind of stuff in just polite conversation, a lot of people turn around and they ridicule you. Yeah. They ridicule Galileo for saying that the Earth orbits the sun.
Yep.
They ridicule scientists for saying that beyond the atomic level you have the quantum level, and now quantum mechanics is a massive part of modern technology, and we may have quantum computing within our lifetime. So maybe at a societal level we're not ready for this kind of information.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you don't remember it, but I'm sure you're across the story of what happened when they broadcast The War of the Worlds on American radio back in the 1950s. And, obviously it was fiction, but it struck fear into the heart of the entire population of America. They went nuts.
Of course, yeah.
So I can understand why they might be careful about putting out information to some degree,
Yeah, maybe we're being drip fed the information, so it becomes part of the cultural zeitgeist, so to speak, and then eventually it will come to that because in around COVID or whatever, the U.S. Navy and Air Force came out and said, okay, look, we're going to be honest with you, we have been seeing this stuff for decades. We have picked this stuff up on radar. We've had fighter pilots who've being trailed by stuff. There's a famous video of what they call the Tic Tac,
Oh, yes, I saw that. That's amazing. That's amazing, yeah.
And a U.S. Air Force pilot, it takes $1 million to train them. Those people are under very rigorous, mental and physical scrutiny. Yeah. Because, you got a guy flying an F-22 Raptor, the closest thing we had to an X-Wing fighter. Yes, you're not going to put a head case in the cockpit or one of those things.
Yeah.
And even they've said commercial pilots have said they've seen stuff, So maybe, then again, maybe if there are governments that have their hands on this kind of technology, it gives you a monopoly on the technology. Or maybe we don't want to know,
Yeah, well, I would normally have my head in the sand about this because I'd be relatively scared about it. The only thing I'd say is that if you read into what Mr. Trump said, though, he said he'll be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files. So we're talking about, again, way down the line here.
Yeah, but I mean, back in the 50s or 60s, they also had what they called Project Blue Book, which was, again, the American government saying, okay, UFOs are a thing, we're going to look into this. And they said like 95% of all the cases they looked at were, easily explained. They were explainable by natural phenomena. You said those 5% of cases they couldn't explain. But if we can be a bit paranoid for a second, is this not also a good way to get everybody to stop talking about the Epstein files?
Oh, you old cynic, you old cynic, you. Dave, pleasure as always. Thank you very much indeed for that. Watch out for the UFOs. Thank you. Thanks, Dave. Thank you. Bye-bye to you now. That's our regular contributor, Dave. News and information is coming up.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. Over half a century driving the people of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24111.
Thanks, Pat. Welcome back to the final hour of Tipp Today. 1800 938 007. That's our free phone number. If you want to speak to Leanne, you can text him WhatsApp 083 311 3311. Liam was on to us and he says we're being told the rates have to increase because funding from central government isn't coming through yet. Watch how many councillors and council officials will be hopping on planes over the next couple of weeks and heading off around the world for St. Patrick's Day events. Will we get full, open and transparent breakdown of the costs? Unlikely, says Liam. The usual excuse will be that it's about promoting Ireland to the world, but when ordinary people are being asked to pay more, that justification just rings hollow. People deserve better accountability and priorities that reflect the feeling of many people, it says this morning. So that's in from Liam on 083 311 3311. Now, big excitement around Dundrum this week after the long-awaited reopening of Dundrum Golf Course happened on Monday. Now, it came after a public meeting in December where over 300 people attended there and unanimously supported the plan. Glad to be joined now by Chairman of the Management Group, Philip T. Ryan, is with me in studio. Good morning to you, Philip.
Morning, Fran.
And great news, needless to say, for the golfers and indeed for the village as well. You've complimented the liquidators, Philip, for the level of trust that they invested in the board of management as it is now.
Yeah, we're very pleased indeed because there was a great worry from our members that the club might be at an end. But when we approached the liquidators, they came and met us. And we had fairly long discussions there, and our past captains, Daniel Dwyer and Marie Graves, did great discussion with them. And eventually we got an agreement whereby we'd form a new company, which we have done, County Tipperary Golf Club CLG, and we would lease the course from the liquidators. So we're left with a situation now where our men's club and ladies club are continuing as if nothing happened.
Yes.
Under the captaincy there of Colin Taylor and his vice captain Sean Carroll and Judy Hayes, the lady captain, and her vice captain Catherine Maloney. And so everything to do with the club is proceeding as before. Then we formed our CLG, our company, and we effectively replaced the owners in the administration of the whole place. And then we have a legal agreement where we have leased the golf course from the liquidators.
It's a huge undertaking in its own way, Philip, because, I mean, I would imagine the costs to the upkeep of a golf course, it must be huge.
The cost and the turnover is slightly intimidating, all right.
Yeah.
But we have a very strong committee on our company. We have tremendous support from all the members. And so that takes some of the harm out of it. But it's all in our lap now. We have the golf course leased for the year. The two golf clubs are there, and it's up to the company to make this work.
Yeah.
And it is a big commercial undertaking. But we're having fantastic support. As you mentioned there, 300 members turned up to that meeting in December. Now, I would have thought at the time if 70 or 80 came, but that was a show of support. That was fantastic. And it's being followed up now with the take-up of renewal of membership. We have Niamh Chadwick there for a few hours in the golf shop. I'll tell you just briefly the way we're set up, if that's okay.
Yes, please do. Yes.
We have the driving range, which is newly built, which most people will be aware of, was a big new bland building. Well, that is now our golf shop, clubhouse, driving range, etc., etc. And it has been transformed. It was a big bland building with a concrete floor, but it's fantastic size. I'd say there's 12 or 1,500 square feet in it, really. And I'd have to compliment our manager of golf operations, Joe Murray, and his friend Packy Horton there, and our greenkeepers, Brian Webster, Paul Breen, and John Lenane. And they transformed, painted the floors green and blue, and now we have seating, beautiful seating, a lot of it borrowed from our old golf premises. And we have a golf shop, and there's a facility there to have a coffee and a snack. The driving range is open since last Saturday, and the club is up and open since last Monday.
Isn't that brilliant altogether? Now, what worried, I'm relatively local to there, Philip, so I was delighted to know that you were doing this, because my great fear all along was that, you know, the golfers would just disperse to other clubs and stuff, and we'd be left with nothing.
Well, we would have quite a number now, would have dispersed to other clubs, but the vast majority have come to us to actually say they're on the way back.
Right.
And we're actually grateful to the neighbouring clubs now, particularly Tipperary and Thurles, for facilities they gave us at the end of the year to complete our club competitions. So we had things like the Vice Captain's Prize, the President's Prize, various things, and they gave us time on their timesheets to carry out those competitions after Dundrum closed in August. So we are very grateful to Tipperary and Thurles in particular, and then Cahir and Ballycastine as well, of course, then as well.
Fair play indeed. The driving range is a great boost, I suppose, for the club, isn't it? Because there's not too many of them around.
The driving range is a great boost, and it's used for various things. People who want to touch up their game go in and have a few shots, but an awful lot of people go just for the pure fun of it to come in. And the driving range is open to the public. It's not limited to members.
Yes.
And at the minute there, you could go in and get a box or a bucket of 50 balls there for a $5 and hit them out on the driving range, and you could pretend you're Rory McIlroy and be quite happy.
It really is great news altogether. And plans for the future then, is it too early to even talk about that, Philip?
Well, it's not really. Effectively, what we are there to do is keep Dundrum Golf Club going. It's County Tipperary Golf and Country Club and all the rest of which are, most of us call it Dundrum Golf Club. So we'll call it Dundrum Golf Club for today, Fran. The plan is to make sure that we keep the whole thing viable for the year and for the many years we have it. That'll be an ongoing situation with the liquidators, and we get on well with the liquidators. It's very amicable and so forth, all our relationships with them, you know. So our whole goal is to keep Dundrum Golf Club alive, keep the gates open, and if Fran Curry comes in 12 months' time and buys the place, he'll have an operating golf club. He won't have to wait 12 months for greens to mature or to be right or to be wrong or whatever.
Which is so important.
It is hugely.
And of course the liquidators are taking that into account
indeed,
as well, I would imagine. Can I tell you, I know you don't want to talk about the politics of this or all the stuff that went piggledy and one thing and another, but the shock when you got the news that the golf course was closing down, Philip, what was that like?
It was extraordinary. I think what is shocking is how suddenly and completely it was carried out.
Yes. Literally, was it overnight? I mean,
it was more or less, not even overnight, that my understanding at the day that it happened was that the liquidators arrived in the day and the place was closed down that evening, that it was that quick. And it was an absolute shock to members, because Dundrum Golf Course is funny. It's kind of a huge family scene, And before ever we had the politics of it, I'll tell you a little bit about the arrangements there in a minute if you want. But before ever this happened, many members would have said to me, they love playing in Dundrum, they love coming to Dundrum, they love the whole atmosphere and all the rest of it. But if it ever closed, they wouldn't go and join somewhere else. That'd be particularly for senior members, you know.
Yeah.
So it was shocking. And we would have a lot of members now that I would have come across that might have various traumatic family situations through people being deceased, etc., and told me that going to the golf club and being able to meet a few people there and getting involved in that whole scene and little society was the life of them, you know. So it's a bit more than just golf.
Of course it is, yeah. You said you were going to tell me about arrangements. What arrangements were you referring to?
Everyone wonders, like, you know, is the venue open? Is this open? Is that open? No, it isn't. The hotel is closed. The venue is closed.
Yes.
So what we have now is we have the golf course and the driving range. And all the rest of the hotel is closed off with security fencing. So it'll be easy to know where you're going. But because the contribution of our members, and not just the people I mentioned there now, because the contribution of our members now, we have actually a lovely clubhouse now. Lovely seating, as I said, facilities there to have a coffee and a scone or whatever the case may be, and the driving range is there, and the golf shop there. And so our whole operation now is concentrated in what people had previously seen as the driving range.
And if anybody listening to us this morning would like to join up, I presume they'd be made very welcome. And how can you go about doing that, Philip?
If anyone would like to join up, phone 062 71116, or the easy way of remembering it, 71116, and you'll be invited to press 2 when you're phoned there, and you'll soon be told in a friendly fashion how you can join. And there's an email address, County Tipperary Golf Club @gmail.com as well. But 062 71116.
Of course, the golf organisation there, the golf club there, known for wonderful events over the years and charitable events and all sorts of stuff. Is that something you'll try and continue, or will that be more difficult now without the venue there?
No, everything like that will be a big part of our survival.
Yes.
Societies and classics, as we'd call it, where clubs take over the local rugby and GA clubs and various clubs take over the course for a day and so forth. All the income from all that is absolutely vital to our survival. So we are open to new members, old members. And speaking of new members now, we have a deal, so I better announce everything while I'm here. There is a deal for new members, and someone who has never been in Dundrum before can join for €600 for the year.
Okay.
We streamlined our membership because over the years there was various classes of membership and so forth. But this now is a new operation and run by County Tipperary Golf Club CLG, and we have 7 classes of membership. Full membership 800, seniors aged 65 and over 700, intermediates aged up to 35 600, country member 400, distance member 400, new to Dundrum, as I said, 600, students up to 23 200, juniors up to 18 100. Now that's the whole menu for you.
You're a good salesman for them, I can tell you. Philip, congratulations, and as I say, as somebody who lives locally, I was delighted to hear the news, and fair play to you all, and well done indeed. Many congratulations. That is Dundrum Golf Course open for business. Thanks, Philip. Thank you. Good morning to you. We'll take a break. 17 past 11 right now.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puckon. Now is the time to pick up your next van. From the award-winning Peugeot Partner van to the Expert and the load-lugging Boxer van. We have big vans, high-roof vans, long-wheelbase vans. You'll find them all at Slattery's Garage Puckon. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puckon. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Now, this month's instalment of Tipperary's Hidden History, Conor Reedy explores the remarkable life of John Ignatius Armstrong, a son of Balloch, who rose from behind the bar of a Sydney public house to the highest ranks of Australian public life. Now, it's a story of exile and ambition, politics and principle, and a reminder that Tipperary's hidden history stretches far beyond its shores. Now, this arises as a side hustle out of Conor's Aussie TV adventure last Thursday, but have a listen to this. It's really interesting.
Though he was born half a world away, John Ignatius Armstrong belonged unmistakably to Ireland's long story of exile, adaptation and achievement. He was not born in Tipperary, but he carried it with him, in temperament, in values and in political instinct. He was one of those figures who prove that Irish history does not end at Ireland's shores. Armstrong was born on the 10th of July 1908 in inner city Sydney, the seventh son of a seventh son. A detail that would have raised knowing smiles in any Irish household. He was one of a family of 10 children. His father, William Armstrong, hailed from County Tipperary, in the townland of Balloch in Kilfeacle. The Origin family was long connected with the area. John's father, William, was born to tenants of the Percival estate. Like many Irish tenant farmer families, the Armstrongs lived through famine, land wars, the War of Independence, and Civil War. William and some of his siblings eventually emigrated from Ireland to Australia, where they established new and quite successful lives. His mother, Ellen Hannon, came from County Cork. Like thousands of Irish men and women who left Munster in the late 19th century, they brought with them Catholic faith, strong family bonds, and an unshakable belief in the dignity of work. At the time of John's birth, the Armstrong household already numbered 6 children and was centred on the family business, the Butcher's Arms Hotel in Paramount, later renamed the Dunkirk. The public house was not merely a place of commerce. In Irish Australian life, it was a social parliament, a welfare office, a debating chamber, and a school of politics. From behind the bar, young John Armstrong absorbed the language of labour, grievance, humour, loyalty and aspiration. Few future politicians ever had a better apprenticeship. He was educated locally at St. Bede's School in Paramount and later at Marist Brothers High School in Darlinghurst. Schools that combined discipline with social conscience. Armstrong excelled not only in the classroom but in sport. A gifted athlete, he became boxing champion of the Metropolitan Catholic Schools, a demanding arena that rewarded courage, tactical intelligence and self-control. Later in life, he would also distinguish himself as a bowler and golfer. But it was boxing that forged his early reputation and perhaps his political resilience. Leaving school, Armstrong went straight to work as a barman in the family hotel. There was nothing theoretical about his understanding of working-class life. He lived it daily. It was this background that anchored his politics, and it explains why, at the age of just 21, he joined the Australian Labour Party. Within a short time, he had become president of the Paramount branch of the West Sydney Federal Electoral Council and a delegate to Labour's annual conferences. He was noticed early, not least for his gift for public speaking. In the early 1930s, during the depths of the Depression, Armstrong was part of the winning team in the Labour Daily Debating Competition, a significant achievement at a time when political argument was both fierce and consequential. His oratory was not abstract or ideological. It was grounded in lived experience, shaped by the streets of Parliament and Ultimo, and sharpened behind the bar of the Dunkirk. It was the formidable Elizabeth Healy, one of the great matriarchs of Sydney Labour, who urged Armstrong to seek public office. He followed her advice, and in 1934 he was elected alderman for the Philip Ward on Sydney Municipal Council. He would hold that position for 14 years, gaining a reputation as an able administrator and a formidable political operator. In 1942, he was unanimously chosen to chair the council's Municipal Labour Party, a sign of the confidence placed in him by his peers. That same year, Armstrong's ambitions briefly turned towards state politics. He won Labour pre-selection for the state seat of Glebe for the 1935 election, defeating a Lang Labour candidate. But he soon withdrew following pressure from Jack Lang and reassurances from the party executive that he had the right name for a future Senate run, a reference to the alphabetical listing of candidates on ballot papers. It was a moment of political calculation, and Armstrong played the long game. By 1937, he had become one of Labour's famous 4 A's: Armstrong, Arthur, Ashley and Amer, selected for the Senate. The pre-selection ballot involved tens of thousands of party members and caused factional unease, but all 4 were elected. Armstrong, still not yet 30, campaigned relentlessly, travelling from Labour League to Labour League, the man with the A, and accompanying his mentor Jack Beazley on a statewide tour. He would later prove to be one of Labour's most effective fundraisers. John Armstrong entered the Australian Senate on the 1st of July 1938. Almost immediately, he was appointed to key parliamentary committees, including regulations and ordinances and disputed returns. In his maiden speech, he spoke not of abstractions, but of hardship in his own neighbourhood, pointing out that members of Parliament were seeing more callers at their door than at any time since the Depression. Throughout his early Senate career, Armstrong was a fierce advocate for Australian industry and national self-reliance. He criticised large companies such as BHP for recruiting overseas while Australian tradesmen went unemployed, and for ordering ships from British shipyards rather than from the Australian yards. He believed Australia should build its own future with its own hands. The outbreak of the Second World War tested both the nation and Armstrong himself. For a time, his career stalled when he joined Jack Lang's breakaway Labour non-communist party in 1940. But unity was restored in 1941 and Armstrong returned to the Labour fold, contributing to the party's attack on Australia's inadequate war preparations. With Labour's election victory, Prime Minister John Curtin appointed Armstrong to the Commonwealth Rationing Commission in 1942. The commission oversaw the rationing of food, clothing and essential goods, and it functioned with notable efficiency. Armstrong's administrative abilities were increasingly recognised. His responsibilities grew. He served on the Joint Committee on Profits, the Parliamentary Library Committee, and from 1945 to 1949 represented the government on the National Film Board, where he championed the use of film to document Australia's war effort and national story. He argued passionately for the creation of a Commonwealth film unit and for using cultural diplomacy to project Australia abroad. In November 1946, under Prime Minister Ben Chifley, Armstrong was appointed Minister for Munitions and later Minister for Supply and Development. In these roles, he oversaw post-war defence planning, industrial development and war service housing. He supported a selective immigration programme under Arthur Calwell, whom he represented in the Senate and accompanied to post-war Europe, including Berlin. Yet, Armstrong was not always politically cautious. He publicly criticised H.V. Evatt on foreign affairs, embarrassed the government with blunt remarks about Britain, and drew factional fire for his business interests and Cold War views. A staunch anti-communist, he warned against what he saw as the naivety of the peace movement and supported closer defence ties with the United States. By the mid-1950s, internal Labour divisions were tearing the party apart. Armstrong, who served as deputy leader of the opposition in the Senate from 1951, found himself aligned with the party's right wing. Though he denied involvement with the Catholic social studies movement, his sympathy for the industrial groups damaged his standing. In 1960, he was relegated to 4th place on the Senate ticket, an unwinnable position. His federal career ended in 1962. But Armstrong was not finished. He turned again to local government, seeking the Lord Mayoralty of Sydney. Though he initially lost to Harry Jensen, he became chairman of the Sydney County Council and in December 1965 finally achieved one of his life ambitions when he was elected Lord Mayor of Sydney with 66% of the vote. His term was cut short in 1967 when the New South Wales government, under Robert Askin, dismissed the council and replaced it with commissioners, a move widely seen as political. When the council was restored, the new system ended Armstrong's chances of return. In 1972, however, he achieved a final ambition. Appointed Australian High Commissioner to London by Gough Whitlam, Armstrong transformed Australia House from a stiff imperial outpost into a lively cultural embassy. A genial host with a deep love of Australian art, he patronised young artists and became immensely popular. Whitlam later remarked that Armstrong had embellished Australia House. A convinced advocate of Australian independence, Armstrong openly predicted the Republic, causing controversy in Britain and editorial comment in the Times newspaper. He also helped lay the groundwork for Australia's own honours system. In 1977, he was appointed a Companion of the Order of Australia by Queen Elizabeth II, who was in Australia as part of her Silver Jubilee tour. The very next day, on the 10th of March 1977, John Ignatius Armstrong died suddenly of a heart attack at Bateman's Bay. An obituary in the Canberra Times newspaper described Armstrong's as, and I quote, a lengthy and resilient political career in which he personified an Australian tradition in public affairs, unquote. He was accorded a state funeral and buried in Sydney's northern suburbs cemetery. He was survived by his wife Joan, 4 daughters and a son. For Tipperary, his story is a reminder that Irish history did not stop at emigration. John Ignatius Armstrong was a distant son, shaped by Tipperary and Cork, forged in Sydney, and influential on the world stage. He did well, and he carried Ireland with him all the way. Interestingly, John Armstrong was not the only descendant of his Balloch family to make it to national prominence in Australia, and that, however, will have to remain buried for just a little while longer in Tipperary's hidden history.
Dr. Conor Reedy there, and another episode of Tipperary's Hidden History. And of course, not only is Conor a radio star, but he's now a star of TV as well, and fair play to him. I, Fran, went shopping yesterday in Clonmel. We went to the camping store, Panda Carpets and Star Fuels. We had a brilliant soup at the Hub. Just want to say what a wonderful bunch of people that we met. Couldn't have been nicer to us. So shop local is the message from James in Rose Green. Well, thank you for that, James. It's great to hear a positive story, and I often frequent the Hub myself, and I can vouch for what you said. The soup there is gorgeous. Congrats and well done to all in Dundrum House Hotel Golf and Country Club. Let's hope that it's just the first step in the restoration of all services at the site: swimming pool, gym, manor house, bar, restaurant, golf club and self-catering accommodation. Here's to Dundrum, says one of our listeners, and so says all of us. What is the name of the book that Tom Hennessey referred to and that Fran had read as well? It's Dr. Owen Lenihan's Vandalising Ireland. It's hard enough to get. I finally got it from a very well-known bookshop in Limerick, but I was kind of amused on the day because I presume it was like trying to buy a dirty book years ago. It wasn't on the shelves, and they had to bring it down from upstairs. Whether you agree with it or not now is another matter, but it certainly makes for a very interesting read. 1800 938 007. Just a final one before I go to the break. A listener says, Fran, rates are going up because of two reasons. Reason number one, the central government is not providing funding to the level they did in the past. And number two, Tipperary County Council management over a number of years are not managing the finances in a prudent manner. Now, I'm sure they would disagree with you completely where that is concerned, but it is your opinion, and thank you for that. We'll take a break. Back in just a moment.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. Call Tipp today on 1-800-938-007.
At the very top of the programme, we spoke to Tipperary journalist Fionnan Sheahan, who was mocked online for wearing ashes on his forehead on Ash Wednesday as part of a panel on the Tonight Show on Virgin Media. Well, John O'Donovan is a frequent contributor to the show, and he joins me now. Good morning to you, John.
How are you under Smithson with you?
Don't get us started on the rain. What do you make of that? As a man of faith, John, what do you make of that?
Well, number one, it's a personal attack on the man's belief. I mean, what he believes in. Obviously, he believes in the Christian faith and the Christian doctrine and the gospel and the message, right, of the church, going right back to Jesus Christ over 2,000 years ago. He's quite entitled just because he's well known and he's an editor. The very fact that he goes on a television channel and has the audacity, just imagine, to put the cross, to continue that when he got it done in the church, to continue and to go into a TV studio in 2026. How dare he put a cross on his forehead? How dare he represent his faith and his beliefs? Shame on him. No, that's not me saying that. That's the way other people are looking at it. And how dare they actually rebuke that man for his beliefs? If there's any other system or religion in this country, they wouldn't even go there. But it's open season just once more. Here's another example again on Christianity, on the Catholic Church, and a lot of this, friend, people that come into this country sometimes get blamed for a lot of stuff, right? And sometimes rightly, sometimes wrongly, right? But a lot of this kind of stuff comes from what I call the most dangerous of all, the enemy within.
What do you mean by that, John?
I mean people in the media. I mean people themselves, that they just have an agenda, they just hate. I don't know what is in their whole psyche at all, that they absolutely hate Christianity. They hate anything to do with the church. Look, I'm always amazed at these atheists when they're on the radio or whatever they're like, because if you're a fully functioning atheist, friend, you should get up in the morning and you shouldn't be bothered about organised religion, who's wearing a cross on their forehead, right? Who's going to mass, who's carrying a crucifix around their neck or whatever, because you don't believe in gods or any organised religion. That to me is a fully functioning 100% atheist thing. But what you have is a bunch of people out there who are constantly watching this kind of stuff, commenting the likes of, I think it was last year, Matty McGrath, who's another believer and gets the cross on his forehead as well. I think he came in, he was rebuked again. I think was it last year or the year before. I think it was last year. But I mean, the last time I looked, Fionnan Sheahan has a right to proclaim his faith. And if it's on TV3 or prime time or anywhere else, he's quite entitled to do so.
Do you think, and I put this to him earlier on when we were talking, but I mean, I'm presuming that some of the online rhetoric probably came from people who had, well, they may have been Catholic at some stage or other. I'm just wondering, is it that some people are ashamed of Catholicism because of the abuse and because of the way they treat women and all of it? Is there a shame there and they want to distance themselves from it and they don't want to witness the like of the ashes on his forehead on TV?
Well, I mean, there's no need to make it as personal as they did, like because this is an individual, right? If you're an individual and you're coming on the show today with Frank Curry and you say, there was a guy on there a while ago, John O'Donovan there, I'm totally against everything he believes in, and I believe there's no God, so I believe organised religion is pure to keep people down, and you ridiculed me and everything I said. That's your opinion, and you're entitled to that opinion, like. But what you're not entitled to is shut me down or shut Fionnan Sheahan down, expressing our belief system. It is our belief in the Lord Jesus Christ, that came in, that was an afterlife, that he was on this earth, like. We try and follow the gospel as best we can. We are Christians. Christians have been slaughtered in the likes of in Nigeria and other places around the world. But it starts becoming out here. And it's embedded in the media, and I'm not talking about you guys, you're the good guys. I'm talking about a lot of the print media, the journalists and everything there. They have agendas, and they actually think, Fran, that they speak for me and you and everyone else. They're so opinionated now, they write a little piece for the whatever Times, and then they think it's gospel, and that we should all kind of bow down to them, that they know best for us, like. And this is the modern Ireland. It's like one journalist said that she believed that when we voted to get rid of the 8th Amendment, that it was a sign of Ireland had matured as a country. What a diabolical comment. But she thought, because she had a column in a certain paper, that gave her legitimate reason to say that, and that she could actually say it and get away with it, and we should all say, oh yeah, that's right, we've moved on now.
Right, but is that not fair play, though, if that was her opinion and you're expressing your opinion now, John? Is that not the way things should be in terms of debate?
What annoys me about it, this same people there, you probably listened to the shows over the weekend there, and two channels we're not going to name here, but you know what I'm talking about.
I know,
I'm not giving them any free publicity. But like, you get the same people brought on all the time, the same woke people with the same opinions all the time, and they're allowed a platform there. They write their column, then they're going on and they're spouting off stuff like this, like, I mean, on the main two programs on Saturday and Sunday. And like, it's almost like, I mean, it's gospel what they say. And they're not the only ones. There's a lot of other people. There's people embedded, even the likes of Archie Ray Darcy, he's gone now. But like, I mean, he said live on his show that he believed the Angela should have been abolished. Like, and he was rebuked for it by the broadcasting authority at the time, who now commissioned him on. I mean, he had to apologise for that, like, and Archie had to apologise. But I mean, that's what I call the enemy within. Don't be blaming all. There is problems with people coming in there trying to assert themselves and trying to take over and trying to push their way. But I mean, to me, one of the greatest dangers is, again, repeating, Fran, the enemy within.
All right, John, good to talk to you as always. Thanks very much indeed for coming on with us this morning. That's John's opinion on that. How do you feel about it? 1800 938 007. I mean, let me pose that question to our listeners. I mean, are we shameful about any kind of overt expression of Catholicism, especially when practices associated with, as I say, the likes of the Ash Wednesday, and are we ashamed of that at this point in some way? Love to hear your reaction to that. 1800 938 007. Fran, I was wondering if you could say happy 85th birthday to my dad, Michael Toomey. He's still working away on the local link buses, picking up all of the clients to bring them shopping. He loves being out and about and meeting people. Well, a big happy birthday indeed to Michael, and I hope he's going to be spoilt by his loving family today. Now, over the past few months on the show, we've been diving into the past, real nostalgia stuff about factory closures and show bands and dancing and all of that kind of thing. But what of the fashion of the past? Well, our great friend Joe Noble joins me. Good morning to you, Joe.
Oh, hold on a minute. I was taking out the washing machine. Hello, friend. How are you?
Oh, it's so real when I talk to you. I just love it, Joe.
You were sitting on the table, and I was taking out the washing, and I was half listening at the same time. Come here, let me tell you.
Only half listening, isn't that terrible? I don't know.
Well, I didn't know what the man was saying. He was talking too quick. No.
Our mutual friend Mary is unwell, Joe.
Yes, and that's why now, because I got permission off of Catherine to, wish her well on
This is
the radio
Mary Gordon,
today.
of course. Yes.
Yes,
Joe.
Yeah, Mary has been very unwell.
Yeah.
And I just want to wish her well, and thinking of Catherine and the rest of the family too.
Yeah.
It's not easy for them at the moment. But things have started to look up a bit, so thank God for that.
Isn't that great news? And she is certainly in the thoughts and prayers of so many people. I was at a fundraiser in Bulgate and Cashel last night, and so many people came up, so many of the artists and so many of her friends talking about her and wishing her well, Joe. So
it's been a big worry.
Absolutely, indeed.
Yeah.
Can I talk to you about fashion, Joe? Do you look back at photographs and go, "Oh my God, did I really wear that?" Or
for every good look fan, I have my old photographs, ancient photographs. When my husband divorced me, he got rid of all the photos, so I haven't got the real old ones to look back on now, and that's no harm either.
Yeah.
But yes, I can remember all the mini skirts. Sure, I wore them all. But do you know something, Fran? Fashion in general, it's like a conveyor belt.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember in the 60s, 70s wearing these, we used to call them bell bottoms.
Yes, sure, yeah.
And I think they're called stairs now. Anyway, whatever. They're all back in.
I know, yeah. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and the wide leg trousers and things my grandmother wore are back in. I swear to God.
Yeah.
I mean, it is unbelievable. Like, we should never have got rid of clothes. We should have held on to them.
Because they'll come back. Yeah, fashion is very cyclical. Is hairstyles the same, Joe?
No, God, no, they're not. Hairstyles, I mean, I remember going dancing donkeys years ago, and you'd be back home on the top of the head, make it stand up a bit on the top of your head.
Was that the beehive? Was that what it was called?
It was. Oh, holy God. I mean, we thought we were lovely, but we look back on pictures and look at what the course of us and the state of us, holy Moses. But, no, they were all, I remember even before hair straighteners come in. Now I'm giving away my age, but however, I used to iron my hair to make it straight.
No way.
I did, and believe it or not, it was Keith Ryan. Keith's in England. She don't mind me mentioning her anyway. She told me what to do. So my hair was always long, and you put it out on a towel on the table or whatever, and then you put an old cloth, a tea towel if you have one or whatever, over it, and then you iron it.
Oh my God! But the smell of burning, I'd imagine, of it.
I wouldn't burn it. You burn the tea cloth, but you wouldn't burn your hair. No. I mean, Mammy used to kill me with the iron marks on the tea cloth. But however, but it just worked.
Isn't it incredible?
Yeah. We were using straighteners before straighteners came in. To be honest with you. But with all the different styles, now a lot of them haven't come back in.
Yeah.
A lot of the styles.
Like what? What was there in your day that?
Well, you wouldn't see as much. I suppose they're still there to a certain extent. I don't know, but I certainly haven't seen them recently. Do you remember the duffel coat?
Oh, I do. I used to wear one going to school. Yeah.
Yeah, the duffel coats. You don't see many of them now.
God, you're right.
They have kind of more modernised ones that you'll get those toggle yokes that closes, but they're not the ordinary duffel coat that we knew of. You know what I mean? Or I knew of, I should say. But
God, you're bringing me back memories now to the duffel coat going to school in the rain.
The second duffel coat, geez, God, but by God, were they warm?
They were
in the winter.
They were.
I mean, they keep you flipping warm. If I had one today, now I
they were. They had the little band across the front of them. You could sort of button it as well to keep the hood up.
Yeah. That's
What
right.
What else, Joe?
Oh, sure, Jesus, what else? I mean, I remember going to a Bournemouth social, and my late sister wanted to go, and of course she had her eye on a fella, and she wanted me to go with her. And we went off to Madame Morris in Turles. Sure, that's gone out of Turles now a lot of years.
What was it, Madame Morris, a boutique or something, was it?
It was, yeah. And we thought we'd splash out and we'd go to Madame Morris. And she had a son. I think he's dead now as well. I better not mention his name in case he's not. People know who I'm talking about anyway, so it's not one. Anyway, he used to work in the shop with her.
Yes.
And I remember we going in and we bought these 2 little mini skirts. Mine was a grey one. I always remember it. And a pink flipping blouse, with all these frill up at the neck of it and the frill down the front. And on the end of the sleeve was a bloody frill as well, right? But we thought were lovely. And I remember Madam Morris said to us, you go up her stairs in her house and you try on the clothes above in her bathroom.
Yeah.
And she said the son's name anyway. He'll go up with you. And I looked at him and I don't know if I can go up and clothes him up like, you know. But,
Isn't that great? What a great name for a shop, Madam Morris. So, so all those ruffled things, they were all. They
were there too. Yes, they were. All these old lacy yokes and, for the love of Moses, and to do your head in trying to iron the bloody yokes. But it was.
Hang on, Joe, because I've a question for you from a listener. It says, ask Joe about passion killers. What's a passion
killer?
Yeah, what's a passion killer?
Well, now you'll have to go back to him and ask them, because I don't know. I never heard that. Now, that must have been before. Isn't it lovely to be able to say it must have been before?
It was before your time. That's what it was. What about the footwear then, Joe? What about the boots and the platforms? Yeah.
Fran, Jesus, you reminded me of that now. I had forgotten about them.
Yeah.
I remember, and I was always tall. I shrunk since, you know what I mean? But I used to be always tall. And when I wore these platforms, I looked like a flipping giraffe. Right? and walking the same, I would say, as a giraffe, wibbly wobbling all over the freaking place. But there were big cork soles on some of them. You get the big cork.
That's right. Yeah.
And Jesus, little wonder we're all crippled with backs and hips and knees and everything now. But no, we kind of back then we tried to be what you call, I suppose, trendy by trying to follow the style.
Yeah. And when you look at the young people of today, then do you throw your eyes up to heaven every so often when you see some of the stuff that they're wearing? And
well, maybe in the winter time. I saw a girl recently, someplace I don't know, it was at Portlaoise or wherever I was. But I saw a girl, and it was a cold old day, friend. And she had a pair of leggings, which is grand.
Yeah.
She had a little belly top on her, and all her middle part of her belly. And I thought that poor creature is going to get cold in her kidneys if she don't put a jumper on her to cover her knees.
A cold in her kidneys, I know.
Yeah. You get cold in the kidneys. Mammy always said that, keep her back covered because you get cold in the kidneys. But that type of thing, yeah, I kind of do. Now in the summer, fair play to them. They have the figure for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I never really frown upon anyone wear, to be honest with you, because it's everyone's own personal choice, friend. Whatever they wear, and if they're happy in what they're wearing, well, so be it, like. It's not for me to say.
Yeah, Eddie was on to say that he remembers his wife ironing her hair when he was going out with. So that must have been a thing, Joe.
Oh, it was. That was Cliff Ryan invented it for me. I had the clue, and I wouldn't mind only. Do you know the iron Mammy had back then? Oh God, it wasn't your electric iron, friend. It was, you take out this metal yoke, or I don't know what it was, some stone or whatever it was, inside in the iron, and you stick it into the fire, and when that gets red, then you put it back into the iron and you close down this shutter yoke on the back of the iron.
Oh,
and
God.
away you go.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, we didn't have electricity back then. I told you.
But I mean, that could have gone so wrong, I presume.
I suppose it could, but I was lucky enough it didn't. I burned the tea towels, but I didn't burn my hair. And the shift dresses. The flipping shift dresses.
What's a shift dress?
The shift dress was just a straight down yoke.
Oh, yeah.
Stout yokes with no sleeves. And I remember Mammy making one for me one time, a blue satin yoke. Holy Moses. And I thought it was lovely. But the shift dresses and the bell bottoms and the mini skirts, of course, the mini skirts never went out, did they?
They didn't, indeed. Well, thanks be to God, I would say that they didn't. I'm just looking at the screen here. You're bringing back so many memories to people out there about the various items of clothing. I have to leave it there, Joe, and again, just...
I was only starting.
I know.
Warmer
But just,
than all those sport.
But I'm looking at Pat Murphy here in the news booth, and he's threatening me, and he's.
I enjoyed Pat in the morning with Andrew. I loved them in the morning.
Don't be telling him stuff like that, or you'll get a big head.
I'd be sitting here and I'd be listening to him, and they always give me a laugh when the two of them are on together. They're flipping hilarious. They're brilliant.
Oh, they're hilarious, all right. Joe, a pleasure. Look after yourself, and our best to Mary and to her family as well. Thanks, Joe.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, friend.
Bye-bye to now. That's the great Joe Noble, the legend that is Joe Noble. That's it for me. Leanne produced. Stephen has the Time Tunnel on the Lunchtime Show, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puckon. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puckon. See slatterysgarage.ie.